Sami Hamdi is the editor-in-chief of the International Interest. He joins us now from London. Hi, Sami. You know, we had to say allegedly at the top because we can't be absolutely certain that the UAE is orchestrating all of this, and it is exactly what the protesters have said. So tell us what you know. How serious an issue is this? And are we talking about international law being broken?
We have to first and foremost remember that Sudanese have been involved in the fighting in Yemen, not just this year, not just recently, but they've been involved for a number of years. And even though these people now are crying out for their sons to come home, for their sons not to be involved in these particular conflicts, their cries are likely to fall on deaf ears, because Sudan's participation in Yemen and the UAE for the government and for the military in Sudan is an absolute necessity, because part of the conditions for the UAE and Saudi Arabia to give funds, to give the necessary investment that Sudan so desperately needs, is that Sudan participates in Yemen and the UAE. And any withdrawal or any limitation of sending Sudanese fighters to these conflicts mean there will be no money. And when you compound that with a situation where South Sudan is not getting any oil proceeds because of the war in South Sudan, the US continues to place Sudan on the state sponsors of terror, then investment is not going to be coming into the country. The second reason is that Sudan wants to send, Sudan has a high unemployment crisis. It has an unemployment problem. So essentially, it's been recruiting these people into these militias like the Janjaweed and the like. These Janjaweed have gone out of control. These militias have gone out of control. So Sudan has been sending these militias, sending these troops to Libya and to Yemen, and it doesn't want these groups, these Sudanese people to come back. And this is why in this, it's very unfortunate. It's very a crude way of looking at it. The geopolitics trumps the concerns of these people. So this is nothing new. Sudan is handcuffed by the UAE, by Saudi Arabia. And this is why we see Sudanese being used as cheap mercenaries in a conflict that has nothing to do with it.
So will there be an investigation, and can there be accountability?
Well, we're talking about something that everybody knows. Everybody knows that the Sudanese are involved in Yemen and Libya. Everybody knows it's because the UAE are taking them there. Everybody knows that the UAE heavily depends on Sudanese fighters to do the dirty work. So when we're talking about an investigation, will it come now when dozens of people have protested, when we've known this for at least 4 or 5 years now? In terms of the number of people protesting, we see dozens written in your headline instead of thousands, implying that this isn't an issue that has got everybody in Sudan on the streets. This isn't something the government is going to take seriously. This isn't something that the army is going to turn around and say that, you know what, guys, you guys are right. We love our Sudanese people. Let's give up the billions of dollars that the UAE and Saudi Arabia have promised us.
Sami, what about the line we've also heard that some of these are child soldiers having been sent over? That most certainly breaks international law.
That certainly breaks international law. We've heard that child soldiers have been used in Yemen. I think The Guardian and other news outlets also had exposés on the use of child soldiers. We waited for an investigation. We waited for some sort of international reaction. There was no international reaction. The international attention on Sudan continues to be about trying to see whether this government will succeed, trying to determine who rules, who doesn't rule in Sudan. The US ignored Sudan's prime minister when he visited Washington for 7 days. He didn't have any meeting with Donald Trump. There is all this breaking of international law. Sudanese are being used as the cheap mercenaries. They're being handcuffed by the UAE, by Saudi Arabia. And the international community is doing absolutely nothing. It knows these things are happening. It doesn't need an investigation to confirm this. But there is no movement, and there is unlikely to be any movement on this, unfortunately.
Okay, Sami Hamdi, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.